right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and get started with our topic of conversation. Thank you for coming out and joining us at this year's Financial Wellness Fair. My name is Brad Cromis. I am the County Treasurer in Cuyahoga County. I was formerly the Treasurer of Portage County, served in that role from 2015 through October 31st, and started in Cuyahoga on November 1st. So I've been doing this Portage County financial wellness thing for 7 years. This is the 7th, and I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you about one of our offices, the Portage County Treasurer's Office's programs. Let me take that step back, because it's a great opportunity for folks to fix up their homes for less, that support a small business, and grow that small business and create jobs in our community, or also if you happen to be a farmer or interested in farming, to pay for farm supplies for keeping your business going. So that program is called GrowLink. You all should have a brochure on that. This information is available on the Portage County Treasurer's Office's website, as well as at the office. There are physical copies of this there. So you can get this information again later on after the presentation today if you have questions. Obviously, I'm willing to answer any questions you've got once I've finished presenting what this is, and we can go through that, but just so you know where else it is other than just here today. So GrowLink is what is called a linked deposit program. What that means is that the Portage County Treasurer's Office takes a portion of its investment portfolio that it manages on behalf of the taxpayers of Portage County, and it invests that portion with community banks at a below market rate. So that rate is between 1% and 3% less than we could otherwise get in the market. The banks then make a commensurate amount of money available for people to borrow from the banks at a discount of 1% to 3%. So basically what we're doing with the investment portfolio is passing on the return we would have gotten to the consumer directly to use to keep loan prices cheaper than they might otherwise be on projects. So GrowLink has 3 pieces. The first of those is a residential piece, and you'll see that in the brochure. It talks a little bit about what those are. There's up to $2 million total available in the program for folks to do projects in Portage County. This has been around in this iteration since the summer of last year, and the county has used, I think, 1.7 million of that initial $2 million, so there is still some money available for projects. There will be potentially more money available as the treasurer talks to the other stakeholders about putting more funds into this, and I will be advocating to my successor that he consider doing that, because this is a popular program that does a lot of good for folks. So just so you know how much money we're talking about total that's available. Right now it's about $300,000. It could be more. Homeowners are eligible for up to $25,000 to do a home improvement under the program. And a qualifying home improvement means a couple of things. It means that the borrower is current on their property taxes, so you have to be current with us. It means that it is that the improvement is permanent to the structure, so you can't buy a hot tub or a satellite dish or anything that you can take with you if you leave with the money, but you can do anything else that is related in some way to energy efficiency. So most any improvement you're doing to a home at this point will involve an energy efficiency upgrade, whether that's fixing up a roof, changing the power situation out, adding a solar system. Even things like a driveway can theoretically be an ecological improvement, because asphalt, if you're replacing that with something else. So that is a conversation you would have with the treasurer's office. I will tell you that the office has looked at that very broadly, and again, anything you're doing new is likely to be considered an eco-friendly upgrade. So $25,000 for homeowners is available for lending there. Yes, sir, you have a question?
No, wasn't a question. It was just something I was going to mention when you mentioned roofs and stuff. That a year ago, I found out that a company in California makes roofing shingles that are solar panels.
Yeah, I've looked into those shingle solar systems are cool. They're very expensive, but they're cool. So maybe someday we'll all be able to have
they'll
those.
come down. That's like 8 tracks used to be $1,200.
Yeah.
8 tracks. You seriously? Yes.
I got some of those at home.
You pay $1,200 when they first come out.
And I'm glad you said something about that, because it triggered for me something I wanted to mention. So all of these programs in Portage County, for homeowners, for small businesses, for farms, are partner programs with state level money from the Treasurer of State. So if you borrow the $25,000 from Portage County to do a home improvement project to upgrade your home, that's the kids. What do? You can get money from the state of Ohio for the same thing. So if you want to do something that costs more than $25,000, that's an option, and the treasurer's office can help you make those connections to the treasurer of state to layer that in. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Right, once you're in the county, and then you can.
You could get county money and also state money to do a more expensive
Okay.
project. So that's a great partnership that we worked out with the treasurer of state's office, but I wanted to make sure I said that. So that's thing one, home improvements, yeah.
Is it only to Portage County, or does it encompass other counties? They have their own, or you're not unfamiliar with Trumbull, which is right next door?
Yeah, other counties, many of them have their own home link deposit program of some kind. I know that Cuyahoga does, that's homeowner related. Trumbull, I don't know. I know the treasurer there, but I don't know whether they have one or not. The treasurer of state program, which I just mentioned, that is a partner with this, is available everywhere in the state of Ohio.
Okay.
So if you don't have a county one, you may still be eligible if you're from Trumbull to get the state
So is
one.
there the same amount, or is there a ceiling, or is it higher
I
than the
believe
state?
the state amount is the same.
Okay.
That would be worth checking. I don't know that offhand because I don't run that program.
It's just a question.
Yeah, I think it's 25 also, somewhere in that
Is that
ballpark.
considered Portage County?
Yeah.
What's that?
Brookfield's?
Brimfield's Portage County.
Okay.
Yep, so they would be eligible.
I
Yep, yep.
know, there's parts that you think are Trumbull, and they're right on the line, they're Geauga, they might be
Yeah.
Portage.
Yeah.
And plus, there's roads that, like, if you're on one side, it's one county, on the other,
Yeah,
it's the other.
yeah, different
Yeah.
zip codes and stuff.
So I mentioned the homeowner bucket. I'll mention the other two just briefly, but we have a small business loan program that's been very popular in this new thing. You can get up to, sorry, one more thing about the homeowner program. That loan discount is available for the first 5 years of the loan term. It is between 1% and 3% based on market rates. So to apply, you would go to the bank and say, I'm interested in GrowLink to fix up my house. They would work you through the paperwork and tell you what that discount is. There's a formula they follow. It'll be 1% off market rate up to 3% off market rate. So as interest rates go up, because we all have been hearing they're higher and higher all the time, buying a new house is like 8% or something right on the loan now. That discount will grow, so you'll be able to get more off. That's how that formula works, yeah.
You just said it and I wasn't listening because I was thinking of my question. The 1% to 3%, that depends on how much you're borrowing?
It's not based on how much you're borrowing, it's based on market rates.
Oh, okay.
And so it's the market rate for borrowing and the bank's CD rate. So those are the formulas that we use to look at the math. But the discount is between 1% and 3% total. Yes, sir.
How is the term of the loans go?
So you can borrow for as long as you want. The discount is only for the first 5 years.
Yeah, but like, so like, do they have a term limit, like so if you took out the loans, right, but then you was ready to pay it back in 3 months, like how?
There's no prepayment penalty
Okay.
on these. It's basically a home equity line of credit with the banking institution side. So those tend to not have a prepayment penalty. But again, if you wanted to go out longer, like you wanted 10 years,
Yeah.
you would only get the discounted rate for the first 5, and then you'd be market rate after
But
that.
if you did less than that, you would get.
But if you did less,
rate the whole
yeah,
time.
no problem, yeah. So you have 1 year to do your project, get the receipts back to the Portage County Treasurer's Office saying you did it. That's so if we get audited, we can say, yes, we use these proceeds to build
Show where your money went.
equity in Portage County. We did the thing we were supposed to do. So you have a year to get the receipts back, but that's that program. So the small business program, there are 2 pieces of that. One for growing small businesses that already exist, so building and growing jobs, and one for expanding those businesses. So doing things like buying new equipment for your small business, building out some facilities, etc. The amount of money available to borrow there is up to $200,000 to grow jobs, up to $250,000 to do infrastructure build-outs. The terms on those loans are 2 to 4 years, so a little bit shorter. The $200,000 one can be renewed, so essentially it's 4 years. These are 4-year loans that you can have, and the rest of that still applies. So a little bit more money. Again, the idea there is that we're helping small businesses on Main Street create jobs, grow, and whatnot, and then a little bit shorter period of time for that because they're businesses. Yeah.
But you would have to have your business already licensed.
Yeah, so what we look at is, are you a registered business with the Treasurer of State in the state of Ohio? And again, are you current on your taxes? Do you owe tax money? Those are kind of the considerations we look at. Otherwise, it's open to anybody who's a registered
Yeah, because
business.
I opened a DBA last year and then found out I needed term doing the LLC instead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm still in that area of, I'm not there yet, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. And it's worth mentioning too, this also has a treasurer of state counterpart. So there's money from the state of Ohio to borrow at a lower interest rate. One of the things we encourage small businesses to do is to connect with the Portage Development Board, because they have access to other state funding programs through Jobs Ohio, through the county commissioners. And generally, if you're trying to grow a business or add jobs, you want to get a financing stack together. So different kinds of programs to incentivize you to do that. This can be part of a financing stack. That is a Portage Development Board conversation. That's kind of outside of our expertise. But this does tie into that and is a tool that can be used in that way too, for businesses. So the last component I want to mention is the agribusiness component. So we tried to have a piece of this that helps support family farms. Portage County is a farming community, and there are a lot of family farms here. The state of Ohio has had a program called GrowLink since 1982 that helps farmers buy supplies that they need to do their thing. So seeds, fuel for farming equipment, potentially farming equipment, fertilizer, pesticide, whatever that might be. So there is a tranche of this money that's available for farms also. That is up to $50,000. That one is annual, so they can come back every year and get that $50,000 to do their farm thing. So, again, the same sorts of things apply, 1 to 3% discount. Must be paid back within a year. You can have up to one loan in any of those categories at any given time. So if you were a homeowner who was starting a business and also ran your grandpa's farm, I guess, you could have one of each potentially at any given point, but there is that limitation. So you can't have multiples. If you're a rental owner, for instance, you could not have one for each rental you own. It's one per category at any given time. So that's the broad strokes of what GrowLink is. Again, we like this program because it is it's flexible. It lets us help different parts of our community, homeowners, and helping stabilize property values, businesses, and helping our main streets grow and thrive, and family farms, and helping sure that we're feeding our community. We like that it ties back to the state of Ohio's programs and can be a partner with them. We like that it fits into the economic development work that's going on in other parts of our community. But this is something that, again, is relatively new, where we think will be a good tool for us for years to come. And as interest rates are high and stay high, this kind of thing only becomes more valuable. So with that ends the formal part of my presentation for purposes of being shared later. And again, any questions you got, I'm happy to keep answering. So yes, ma'am.
Yes, it has the ambiguous part for a residential loan. Property upgrades or other permanent projects, could that include adding land with an additional residence on it? That would be.
They're subject to review by the treasurer's office, so that's a staff line conversation. I will tell you that for the most part, we have looked at these programs as improvements to an existing parcel. So it would not be new construction. So you couldn't do it to build a house on a vacant parcel of land. If you were, building something on a.
But if you had an adjoining piece of property with another residence on it, and you were going to use it for a child, say,
or a rental, or you could fix
parent.
up. I think that probably would qualify. And it's based on, is it a permanent improvement, and is it doing something
attached
that's
to the real estate?
eco-related? Yeah, so
Something
that
you would be paying taxes on.
Yeah, that probably would clear the bar.
Thank you.
Again, subject to review by banks in the office, but that probably qualifies. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the GrowLink program? Okay, well, if not, I'll be around. Another thing I will mention, simply because I know that there are brochures here for it, the treasurer's office has a program that lets you break your property taxes down into monthly installments. Are any of you paying your property taxes yourselves, not through a bank? Okay. So usually when you're paying a mortgage, you pay in monthly installments. And then after you stop doing that, you get a bill from the treasurer's office twice a year. It's a very expensive bill. There's a free program the treasurer's office offers that's called the prepay program, that breaks that down into monthly installments so that it's easier to digest, and you are paying pieces of it over time. If you miss a monthly installment, what's nice about that program is there's no penalty. You just owe whatever you were gonna owe when the tax bill is due in either February or July.
Okay.
So that's something that might be worth looking into. There are brochures out at the main table for that if you're interested in it. and we've got that available for you.
That does suggest another question, which might be better for Mr. Kennedy, is that when are they going to do another reassessment in Portage County?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it anymore. I know that Cuyahoga's is next year. I think that Portage County's is next year too, but that's a county auditor's office
Therefore, you don't
question.
know, that's the auditor.
Auditor's office does the reevaluations, yeah.
And how they're going
And then it go
to
up.
assess it, whether it's based on real estate value or something which is inflated or something else.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ideas bouncing around right now in terms of how the state could
What's Cuyahoga doing?
respond. It's subject to state law. So, you're required under state law to do it every 6 years.
Yeah.
And there are certain provisions and things you are and are not allowed to look at in doing that work,
Okay.
which is why the reason it's being looked at legislatively is that they're really high everywhere.
Yeah, so.
Values are going up
so the
30 to
legislature would
40%.
have to change how it's.
Yeah, the
calculated.
legislature's gonna look at the math. The good news on that is, I said 30 to 40%, that's scary. It's important to note that your tax bill is not going up 30 to 40% because of the way that the math happens on readjustments. The valuation that determines what the tax bill will be is gonna go up that much, but the tax bill itself will not go up that much.
Thank you.
It'll be less than that. But yeah, so the point is, stay tuned. We don't know. We should. It's almost Thanksgiving. I'm getting nervous as a tax person that I don't know yet. But
Subject to the whims.
we have to do what the legislature tells us to do, so we'll, yeah. Hey, any other questions?
When do the tickets have to be in the bags?
Oh, so
If I
yeah.
recall correctly,
Yeah.
they might even start drawing before the last class is
Nope.
over.
Nope, so your raffle tickets need to be in the bag by the end of the last class. We will
That's
draw
what I'm
shortly
saying.
after that.
Which
So we'll
is
give people
what
time to get their
time.
tickets in.
So the time.
The time, I've got my hand with it. No, this isn't the, this one.
I love it.
I got the wrong
Oh,
version.
for instance.
Yeah, so the raffle drawing will be, last class ends at noon. The raffle drawing is on here for noon also, but it'll be more like 12:10. We'll give people a couple of minutes to get their tickets in. That's a good question though. So.
And one other question, when you said about the solar, you mentioned the solar shingles and expensive, being a numbers person, we need a number, because one person might think $200 is pricey. 12 for solar shingles.
I don't know what they cost offhand.
I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah.
look online.
Yeah.
They came out, they were 12.
I will say that the solar panel systems are cheaper than the solar shingle systems right now, simply because, you're doing, generally with a solar panel installation for a home, it's somewhere between like 3 and 10 panels versus a shingle when you're effectively putting in, hundreds of these little tiny panels. So the cost is just higher. That's a newer technology in the marketplace. The larger panels, which I'm sure you've seen,
Right.
are an older tech, and so they're a little less expensive for that reason. But it's worth looking at. There are a lot of solar companies out there, and in the state of Ohio, again, with their GrowLink program, that's what it's called at the state level, can help with finding who those vendors are that are reputable. And
It was even
some of
weird,
that,
I was
so.
driving down the road, even though I just glanced over, and somebody actually put at the front of their metal roof, because we have a metal roof, they put a little solar panel sitting out the end of it, and I'm thinking, okay, so how much does that do?
Yeah.
But just
Well,
like attached,
and I'm glad you mentioned-
like a direct TV thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned solar again, because there are federal incentives now too that are available from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act thing that
I
happened.
remember reading
So there's a
about
lot,
that.
there's money available to subsidize the installation of things like solar panels or heat exchangers, and some of those things. So that's another piece you could add on as you're thinking about financing a home improvement project, that would tie into that GrowLink program too. So,
What about
I'm glad you
thermal-
said that.
What about thermal heating?
That would be one that would be qualified. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about.
I know a few of my friends that have thermal heating between here and like West Branch.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have thermal heating, and they said it's been working okay.
Yeah, a lot of those things are pretty cool.
Thermal heating is where they put stuff down in the ground, because
Right,
after so
right,
many
yeah,
feet,
I've
it
read
stays
about
a
it.
certain temperature.
Right.
And they put stuff in there, and that's what heats your house.
Cools and heats the
And
home.
they liked it.
It's a heat
Yeah.
exchange, yeah, geothermal.
Have
It's
you
cool
been
stuff.
in their house to
No,
feel it?
no, I haven't,
That's-
because I've only been back here 7 years.
Well, you could just drop by and.
We're just about done. I think I've got time for one more question, so. Yes, sir.
They were working with the GrowLink program for a business side of the aspect.
So say again, I'm sorry, what?
If you were working with them for like the business aspect of it, is there any kind of stipulations that you would not qualify if you were working with another company, say like, I don't know if you've heard of Fund and Grow? So like they're a company that works with businesses, help get them off the ground, where they would open up, say $20,000 credit card with a line of $20,000 line of credit. So like if you worked with them, would that disqualify you from working with?
Not from the Treasurer's Office perspective. Our partner institutions on this program are Portage Community Bank and Hometown Bank. So you'd have to qualify for lending with those two banks. I can't speak to what that does to that equation.
I was just thinking about
But yeah.
eligibility, you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of times if you're working with these people, they won't let you
Yeah,
work with those.
that's not the case with our program, but it's worth a phone call to the banks to see if that would fit.
Okay.
So, yeah. And their numbers are on the brochure.
What business you thinking about starting?
I want to create a custom automotive.
So my question was with the solar panels.
Custom car business.
Now, and if you have a
I like
home or own your home, so
Buy cars.
would it be
Uh-huh.
more of a
Customize it
positive
and sell
if
them to
you
dealerships
are
as
still
showroom
working
bases.
or
Okay.
if you're
I
retired?
hear you.
Good question.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm
Yeah, that is a good
retired,
question.
But I'm trying to figure out, because I would love solar panels.
But you-
That is a good question, and what that does to your home equity, right? Like there are some cases in which a solar panel might improve the value of a home. There are some in which it might not. So that's something you want to talk through with your
The chances are
lending
that would be
institution.
positive, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yes.
Generally,
Normally.
but it depends.
Also,
Yeah.
those shingles panels, you don't have to do the whole roof.
Yeah, you can
With
do a
those.
part. That's right.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what you could do, because I do this when I want to know something. I will ask that question and go online and on the phone. I don't do anything sit down computer. If I can't do it off my
Yeah.
phone, I have
yeah,
no interest.
like Google.
Or you have Sirius. Anyway, you Google that question and keep rewording it. You will get the answer you want.
Yeah.
Okay, but you just keep scrolling
Reword
and you'll
it,
get
like you
the
said.
answers reworded.
Uh-huh.
Until you shut up, it won't stop and you will get your answer.
Yes.
Because
So
what I
you'll
was
get the
worried about, I'm
feedback.
sorry, I know you're trying to get.
No, that's okay.
But
Yeah.
what I was concerned with is, okay, because I thought about solar panels in the past, but it's like you don't directly know who to go to, would I probably need to, would they be able to tell me, GrowLink be able to? Because, there's so many companies and
Yeah,
there's so many scanners and it's just like you don't know who to go
I
to.
actually have the
Yeah.
answer. When Middlefield, they are like becoming the kings of the solar, and you have more of an Amish community.
Okay.
And they have an open house day, and you see all the vendors, and they have all the
Check it
companies,
out.
and they can answer a lot of these questions, because I was asking, like what stove, if you were getting wood burner, and then also the solar panels, and they have multiple companies, and they also have promotionals, kind of like here. You just
Yeah.
have to watch your local yokel, whether it's the Review, the Villager, your community papers. You can always call over to their commerce and find out.
And you said
it's
Middlefield
usually
what?
in the spring or the fall.
Banking.
Middlefield.
A good resource too that is here today is the Ohio Consumers Council.
Okay.
Yes.
Their entire business is in the
Yes.
utility space and in consumer protection. So
Okay.
definitely go out and visit her today,
And they
and she'll be able to give you
yes,
some
they will
information.
definitely
so.
know the ones that
Okay.
are cheaper and ones that
So-
are more reliable.
That concludes presentation for today. Thank you for being here. If you didn't get a ticket yet, let me give you a ticket.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you said that was the Ohio
So these
Consumers
people
Council?
build,
Yes.
Yes.
and they have